Ready to roll, ladies and gentlemen? Mal, you ready to roll?
Yeah, I am rolling. I think we are rolling. Ready or not.
Ready or not, we're rolling.
I forgot to eat.
Oh, well.
Buckle up, everyone.
I was going to say, get ready.
What's happening?
Nothing. We're recording.
Are you going to start?
No, we're just getting some good material for John.
Oh, yeah, this is great material. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Perfect.
I'll get there. Welcome.
Welcome to Emotion Ships.
There you go.
Where we talk about the real reason. Everything happens for a reason. I'm your host, Charlie Carroll, along with my capital co-host, Mallory Redmond. Chief.
Hi.
Numero uno, Supreme. Welcome to the program.
Thanks.
Now, big episode today, episode 50.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, it's a big episode.
Yeah, half a century.
Yes.
I feel older.
Well, you do have a birthday coming up.
I mean, kind of.
Kind of.
It's more than a month away, but yes, it is coming up.
What? A day short of a month. Well, 2 days.
No, actually, I don't even know when this is coming out. It's about a month away.
Oh, there we go. Run that back. I don't know what to say about that.
Okay. Do you want to just move on?
Yeah, let's move
How
on.
are you?
Thank you for asking. Doing well.
Great.
I'm doing well. We are now in January.
That's true. We've been in January for a while.
Yes. I stopped by my new stop yesterday, which is a local juicery.
Yes.
Which we have stories about, entitled The Juice Caboose.
Very clever.
Yes. And I saw a book that resonated with me that I've never seen before on their shelves.
Okay.
They are a health food store as well. And the title of the book was Dead Execs Don't Get Bonuses. And the reason why that resonates with me so much is because you've heard me say that one of the reasons we started Body Garage was because I watched my grandfather and my father give all of their life to start their businesses and then did not have much life left to enjoy afterward, or had to deal with a lot of different autoimmune things because of what it took them to the life that it cost them to start that business, which most people that do not start businesses or that are not entrepreneurs know this, but they don't necessarily apply it to business. And that is when you start a business, it's like...
Sorry, I'm listening. When you start a business.
If you're not watching this, Mallory is looking past me, making faces. This is really great.
I'm sorry. I can do more than one thing at once. I'm listening. When you start a business.
Should we start this over?
No. What are you talking about?
The
whole thing?
Yeah.
No.
It was a brutal start.
No. We can recover. Go on.
You
were just... this is up to you, cowboy. Get back in the saddle. When you start a business...
It's getting so much better. It's like having a baby. It's like a child when you start a business. Like it literally takes life from you. And people don't realize that, whether it's employees or finding the leading edge where things really happen versus what you thought was going to happen. Like it all pulls life from you.
Right.
And so when you start your own business, or even as a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, like, everything is a net add or a minus in that it either gives you life or takes life from you. And so this book, Dead Executives Don't Get Bonuses, really, I think I did not open it, but it just resonates because one of the reasons we started Body Garage was because I wanted to invest in myself and put life in my cells as a lot of life was going out. And so everyone has this ratio of life in to life out. And the people...
Do you want me to put my shake down? Guys, I'm still cleansing. I need nutrients.
there's this ratio that everyone has to life going in versus life coming out. And as we have said in the past, it if you're listening and you're always drained or you struggle to be excited about life, chances are the takeaway or the minus category of your life is a lot bigger than the add.
Yeah.
And so it tends to be food, people, places that, those are some of the major categories of, and the fourth one is thoughts, that either add or take away from your life. And people just don't realize that you can't will yourself to have more energy, right? It's not just like suck it up and get over this. You can do that short term as your body enters into a state of adaptation where your liver pulls from your heart or your heart pulls from your kidneys in order to steal a little bit of power. But, at the end of the day, you get to a place where eventually you're ran down because you have more people taking from you than giving from you.
Yeah. I have this thought pretty regularly just about how like we're in the good old days right now, like right now are the good old days.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the age and like phase of life that I'm in right now is often like what my parents refer to. Like they go back and talk about like when they were my age. Like this is like I'm young-ish and just like I'm in it. I'm in my job. I have my young family, like all of that. And I often think about how sad it is when people have the mindset of like there's nothing once your kids leave the house and you start getting older and then it's like you're physically not capable of
Sure.
doing things that you could do when you're like our age-ish. But I don't know that it exactly has to be that way, but that's such the mindset until you work, and then you're in retirement and you can't do anything.
Sure.
How sad.
I think that is, unfortunately, most people's experience after, their children leave the house and they are in the latter years of their professional career. We tend to forget that every day is created equal, right? And so when you look at your story overall from start to finish, it's a series of days. And, because of just understanding history and the advancing of technology, we now understand that there are a lot of things that you can do to slow down how fast you age. And most people are in a state of accelerated aging where your calendar year might say that you're 35 years old, but biologically, because, you ran hard or, got into a place where you did not sleep well or you became exposed to toxic people or a toxic situation, you got into this accelerated stage of aging, and now biologically you're older than your calendar age.
Yeah.
Not hard to do at all. Sure. And so, when we started Body Garage, the idea was, not only expand a person's time here on earth, but expand the quality of it. I think everybody can remember back to some sort of age, whether it was 16 or 25 years old, where they felt invincible. And all that is a certain amount of energy that they had. And it's like, you can go out there and find people that are 70 that have the energy of a 20-year-old.
Right.
And they've just learned differently, or they were proactive versus reactive. They learn the importance of the people that they have around them, or the environments that they enter into, or their food they're eating. You're on this cleanse, and it's pretty simple. You put stuff in your body that comes out of the ground that has no additives, like no added ingredients, and it's alive. And that's why it's so important to eat things as close to when they are harvested or come out of the water or come out of the ground as soon as possible, because there's still living enzymes in them. And so, we're just in such a unique window of time in the history of mankind where, it's really over the last 75 years that food started becoming manufactured, where synthetic ingredients could be put in it that taste good and feel good in your mouth. But once they get inside your body knows that they're dead. Mm-hmm. And when they're dead, death produces death. I was just telling Gelman before we started the episode that most civilizations and still a lot of Europe and South America eat organs for their meat. They don't eat muscle. In this country, we eat a lot of muscle, but the problem with that is that like parts stimulate and grow like parts. And so, like the Native Americans, they would eat a lot of liver because your liver is such an important part of your body. It's the filter. And so your liver filters all of your blood to get impurities and toxins out of your blood as your blood moves to every other organ in your body. And so when you start to put things in that are synthetic because they're less expensive, which, when you get into food deserts and people living in poverty, this all begins to make sense because it's unfortunate, but it's way too common that someone that can afford to buy decent food, and maybe they don't, but they have access to fresh food that has living enzymes in them, they will drive down an impoverished part of town and see people that are selling drugs for money or selling their body for money. And they make a judgment as if all people are created equal when it comes to their health and vitality. But, like your solar plexus is what manages your willpower. And when that is offline because you've had no nutrition, people are not created equal. And so we have got to wake up, especially with our justice system, and realize that not everyone comes from the same platform to make good decisions. Right. Good and bad is another way to assess energy, right? That good has more energy in it, bad has less energy in it. And you can use bad energy to tell a story and to make money off of, but it's often unsustainable. And so when we start to look at our justice system and, corrections and rehabbing people, we would do well to understand how much of a big knotted mess everything is, because medicine has turned into primarily, and we said this on the last episode, medicine has turned into drugs and surgery, which is stuff that you do for people after there is a problem, and that problem 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, is a lack of energy. And so, a practical example that I give to people is, when the weather changes and things start to die here in Ohio, often your body will try to get rid of things. And if your lymphatic system, which is responsible for getting rid of toxins, can't get something out because it's jammed up and full of synthetics from the food you eat, and there's other things that jam it up, then what will happen is your body is so brilliant, your brain will get your nose to start running. And then people go to our medical system and say, hey, they'll go to the drugstore and talk to the pharmacist and say, hey, what do I do? Well, the pharmacist was educated, via books and teachers that read this curriculum and these textbooks that were written by pharmaceutical companies. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the old Ross Perot, who was a politician that ran.
Yeah, was it his ears?
Yeah. He had this idea that if you wrote the RFP, request for proposal, then you're going to win it. And so his company would write RFPs, and they would be most qualified to win the bid. Big companies put out this request to, so people can say, I want that business. But if let's say that you're Chevrolet and I have a business that makes, mufflers, and I write the request for proposal for Chevrolet, which is a big deal. Like, it takes a lot of time and energy to write that request for proposal. People like Ross Perot learned that if I just give that request for proposal to Chevy for free, I invest that money, then I am most qualified to win that because I'm the one that wrote it. Mm-hmm. Well, this is what the pharmaceutical companies have done with a lot of drugs, primarily a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, is these pharmacists that are out in the community and surrounded by the population, basically, oh, you have a runny nose. They haven't even been educated to what the community doctor 100 years ago was educated to, that only could learn what they learned from observing the body and being around people with nothing that was manufactured, right, full of synthetics. And so they would use herbs and different oils and other things from what was there in the immediate environment. And what we know is that when your lymphatic system is jammed up, then your nose will start running to get toxins out. And so I don't take anything like a Mucinex D or anything like that to dry my mucus up, because it's full of something that's not good for you that the body wants to get out. And so, you know, my example doesn't matter, but there are a lot of people that have lived by this philosophy that will tell you the same thing. I haven't been to a doctor in, 15, 20 years, something like that. Because if you let the body and the wisdom that God put in it be the guide, you're going to be okay. And so, you know, we're connected to the earth, and we're connected to, you know, the magnetic field that grows vegetables and the grass and trees and all of those things. And it's even so specific that, you know, you really should be eating the food and the substance that the earth creates where you are. And we don't even think about this. Most people don't think about this, that, well, we have a very educated audience, so I don't want to take that from them.
Sure.
Some of you have thought about, you know, living in Ohio, especially during the winter months, but pretty much all year round, you can't grow oranges in Ohio or bananas. Oranges and bananas have a lot of sugar that you would need to put in your system if you were living in a tropical climate like southern Florida, right? Like, understanding that wherever your feet are right now, God has already impregnated the universe that's alive with the very things that you can eat from to sustain you. And so all of that has changed in the last 50 to 75 years as mass transit became available, the internet became available. You know, now you can, you know, we just came through the Christmas season, and I have different, you know, business associates that I've worked with in the past. One sent me like this company that has great grapefruit, right? That I believe came out of Florida. And it's like, you can do that now, but you never used to be able to do that then. And we don't understand how fine-tuned our body is, and that it wants living things. And so whether it's the people you're hanging out with, the food that you're eating, the thoughts that you have, like, your body doesn't know the difference between a thought and a reality. And that's why you can create realities, and all realities begin with your thoughts. Your body responds to your thoughts. And so when we have a lot of negative thoughts, you know, I don't know what the percentage is, but 95% of the time, for someone to experience healing, what we've learned over the years at Body Garage Dayton is we have to change their thoughts. That's the primary thing, to help wake them up to see that everything that you're doing and everyone you're around and everything that you're putting in your body is a net add or a net negative. It's a net takeaway. Okay,
so are you saying that you're meant to eat the foods grown in the area where you're living?
Yeah, that's it's helpful. I mean, you can't take that to an extreme, but because we are one, right? And people are going to freak out with me saying this, that we're one with the earth. We were made out of the earth, and then God blew his breath into us, that energetic, like invisible energy, the magnetic field by which we're held together. Like, the earth will provide for you wherever you are at. And so when you're living in Ohio, you know, going to Kroger and buying things that can only be grown in Florida or other places, it's not that all of it is detrimental, but do you know how many people think that orange juice is good for you when it will tear you up from an insulin resistance standpoint? Like, your body can only take so many carbohydrates, and then when you overload the system, the door that controls your vitality to every one of the 300 trillion cells in your body is going to shut, and you're going to have no more energy.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm a Midwest girl. I grew up in the Midwest, and so I went to school in Iowa, like lots of corn, lots of soybeans. Like, there's not a whole, I don't know that there's a whole lot of variety.
Sure.
And I imagine, I mean, my body, avocados are really good for me.
Sure. Yeah, it's not saying that you can't have food from other places, and some of it comes back to just understanding the the structure of the food and what it's going to do to your body. We're working on a project right now that really approaches eating on a cellular level and understanding that. You can have food from other parts of the world and other parts of the country. You just need to understand how your body is going to respond to it. And there are classic examples, like orange juice or certain fruits that really they're not healthy. And that comes back to big agriculture messaging and putting things on TV that they want to sell because there's a lot of it available and it has a good profit margin. Those are all, and what it comes back to is owning your own health. Like, you are the only one that can own your health and know what you need to put in your body and what you don't. And truth be told, food has become entertainment for Americans and most people in the world. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying your food and getting into the subtleties of pairing a glass of wine with whatever you're eating. You still just have to keep your health in mind and eat to live versus living to eat. And it's very easy to cross over that bridge and accidentally move into living to eat versus eating to live.
Sure.
And so for me, someone who really enjoys their food and pairing something with it, often I will eat 1 or 2 meals a day. And that's basically just a cellular approach to eating. And then, I'll try to intermittent fast 5 days a week and periodically not eat for a couple of days just so my body can keep up and get everything under control.
I think something that is important is that people just get to know their own body.
Sure.
Because I don't eat 3 meals a day. I eat probably 1.5, but that's not what every body needs. And I think there's a lot of pressure, I would say particularly for women, but maybe that's not entirely true, to adhere to particular guidelines that everyone's meant to fit into. And I just don't know that it's that cut and dry. I think the call here is to get to know your own body and not just assume oh, well, society tells me there's 3 meals a day, so I need 3 meals a day.
Sure, yeah.
Or this podcast says they eat 1 meal a day, so I should eat 1 meal a day. But it's learning what your body needs.
Yeah. Yes and no. Yes, in that, based on your blood type and a few other things, your body's going to respond differently to different approaches. Overall, the fewer meals you stick in your mouth and the more of a fasting state, the longer you can stay in a fasting state, the better it's going to be for your body. I would say that everyone needs to take the time and spend the money to get their, to have a blood panel ran and to have a doctor that knows what they're doing, look at your hormone levels, because, it still exists that power lines are above ground in a lot of places. And so you can look at the power, the phone pole that has the power lines on it or the phone lines on it. And that's what your hormones are. Your hormones are communicators. And so when we talk about someone being hormonal or their hormones being off, what's so important about that? And an article just came out from overseas, and I think it was London, or no, actually it was China, where they were studying why certain people had a much more difficult time with COVID-19 than others. And the research was showing them that it had a lot to do with the microbiome, which is your gut, the liner of your gut. And, it's been said that 80% of your immune system is in your gut. And there was a certain bacteria of an unhealthy gut that's gone, that it seems as if their initial amount of research is showing that when someone has an unhealthy gut, because they eat a lot of manufactured or synthetic food, that they get affected by COVID-19 more than others. We can put those notes in the show so that you can see it. I'm not a doctor, so I can't prove that. I'm just telling you what I read and what their initial science was saying. But it's consistent with other things that we've seen. The closer you are to being diabetic or pre-diabetic, it seems as if you have had a harder time responding to the virus than people that are not that way. And again, if a lot of your immune system is in your gut, which we haven't realized for years, this is now, we're starting to understand more of this, and what we put into our stomach affects our immune system and our hormones are manufactured in our gut, then it would make complete sense. And so I would just say to people that are considering wanting to be like full of vitality and full of life and be the weight that they're supposed to be, like, it's not about being skinny. It's about being the weight that you're supposed to be, right? Like your ideal weight. You cannot do that if your hormones are out of whack. Now, some people can't gain weight because their hormones are out of whack. But basically the way that you need to view it is, a line has been cut or severely damaged, which is a hormone, if you cannot get results more times than not. This past summer, we were having a dog fence, an invisible dog fence put in. And when they were putting it in, they cut one of the wires that went from the house out to like the light pole in our front yard. And obviously the light would not come on because that line had been cut. When people's hormones are out of whack, you're going to have a hard time thinking straight, and you're definitely going to have a hard time maintaining your appropriate weight and energy level. The idea of the project that we are working on has a lot to do with weight gain and weight loss is really just a manifestation of energy. And so instead of just focusing on the end result, which is I want to gain weight or I want to lose weight or I can't lose weight, what we're trying to say is you need to focus on your energy, which is a call to recognize the entirety of who you are, to include who you're hanging out with, the words you're saying, the thoughts you're thinking, because that's either adding to your energy or taking away from your energy. And when you're young, you have an abundant amount of energy. And it's like, my son who's in high school and 16 now, he can eat anything and it doesn't matter. Why? Because he has so much energy, right? And that energy just keeps his weight where it's supposed to be. And so that's what we're working on. But it does come back to, I would start off, if I were you, and I wanted to get to like my ideal level of energy, right? More than weight. I would first get my hormones checked to make sure I was balanced so all of the wires are communicating. Then I would jump into, how do I need to be eating to keep that door to my cell, all of my 300 plus trillion cells functioning really, really well, which is insulin coming out, or insulin coming in and out, and glucagon going out. Then you will feel and look the way that you are intended to feel and look.
You've said a lot of things, and I feel like, you've talked about getting your blood work done. You've talked about eating in a specific way. You've talked about emotionally being healthy and thinking the right thoughts and being around healthy people. Like, what's the chicken and what's the egg? Like, where does a person start?
Yeah, it's a good question. And what's cool about this is you can start anywhere, because awareness leads to greater levels of awareness. And some people come in, at one place in the cycle, and it leads to bigger levels of health and awareness. And some people come in at another place. Like, I envision a house, and you could get, come in through the side door. You could come through the front door. You could come through the back door. If you wanted to, you could probably get up on the roof and come through a window, but you're all going into the same place. And I think the invitation is just to stay open to, like, I want to be the most vibrant version of myself.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think a lot of people think that, but I know personally a number of people who think that and then feel stuck.
Yeah. I would start with finding someone that you can trust. And again, I think I would be lying if I did not say that I think the people over at Body Garage, that we're balanced and we can point you in the right direction. But it's like getting your hormones balanced and seeing a medical doctor that understands bioidentical hormones. I would probably start there, especially if you've tried every diet in the world and it does nothing for you. A lot of those lines are probably damaged or cut, and they need to be lined up. And the cool thing is, for a lot of people, they're going to need one hormone that is deficient or excessive to be brought back into the middle to be balanced, and you're going to start getting crazy results. But something, one of those important lines is just cut, and it's not able to communicate with the rest of the body, which is keeping you out of balance. And it's like one of your tires being flat or deflated.
Mm-hmm. So how often do you get your blood work done, or do you suggest that gets done?
I would say once a year. I mean, I tend to get mine done once a year, once every couple of years, because once you get things to where they need to be, then you'll pretty much maintain, and you won't get you will be less likely to get out of whack. But I think a normal doctor or a functional medicine doc would say, do it 2 times a year, and you'll be fine.
Looking for specifically what?
What is that doctor going to look for?
What is the blood test looking for?
Well, depending upon the panels that the doctor orders, I can just speak for our medical director over at Body Garage. She's going to order 7 different things, different hormones to look at, that basically is just going to come back and say, these 7 or these 10 or these 12 hormones are here on the grid, and you want them to be balanced. They can be high, they can be low, or they can be balanced. And the reason why a hormone is high is because you went through something that begged for more testosterone or estrogen or whatever it is. And there was something going on in your body where it kept producing a lot because it was trying to keep up with your stressful situation or your bad relationship. And basically it became excessive, and it was not enough because you had too many things working against you, like your thoughts, or you were in a toxic relationship, eating bad food, smoking a lot, drinking a lot. And basically the body kept producing that hormone to try to help you, but it wasn't enough because of the magnitude of what you were taking on. And maybe your liver was offline at the same time, and you had lower back pain. So basically this hormone gets inflated, doesn't come back down. You get out of the situation, but it's still elevated and you're out of balance. And so when they'll order that blood panel, they're ordering like these key markers to see where you're at. And then their goal is they're going to give you something that either brings it back down or brings it up. And then when you get into balance, depending upon your current environment, your body should be able to maintain it. Mm-hmm. Maintain balance, that is homeostasis.
Okay, so someone who doesn't have access to a place like Body Garage, how do they emotionally start getting to a place of health?
Yeah. If you do not have the resources or you do not know someone, I would get on the internet and start Googling or looking for solutions for if you don't have resources, then I would try to find a family doc or a situation where you can take, whatever you do have from a government assistance standpoint and go talk to someone. There are resources out there from a psychiatric or therapist standpoint that you could go and see someone and say, here's how I'm feeling. I struggle to get my thoughts under control, or I'm depressed, or I'm suicidal. And there are resources out there where someone can take your blood and look at what you're dealing with and try to make suggestions for you.
I think there's some people who don't realize that their thoughts are not under control.
Oh, for sure.
Like really negative people who are always looking at the downside, and it's such a part of their way of thinking that they're not even aware anymore.
Oh, for sure. No doubt about it. And that's why, you can't take responsibility for fixing people, but you can tell stories like this and have podcasts that raise people's expectations, or at least gives them a little bit of awareness where they might, maybe it's 1 out of 100. People will listen to this and say, you know what, maybe that's me. Maybe, and for me, I think you start with, doing a little audit, a self-audit of where am I at and how do I feel? If you're always drained, you can't sleep, your relationships are dysfunctional, you have no motivation or no passion to get out there, it's hard to wake up, more than likely you have a lot less energy than you're supposed to have. Mm-hmm. And so we are not like cell phones. My cell phone, for the most part, will function the same way at 1% as it does at 99%. Human beings are not that way. We function a lot better when our battery is 90% or 95%. And that's true on a micro scale, like daily. You know, you need to get your concentrated, most important things done first thing, because that's when you have the most energy. And then the less important things at night, leave those for at night. But it's also true throughout, a week. It's true throughout a quarter if you're, working somewhere where you have quarterly projects. And it's the same thing for the year. You tend to wear out as you go on, especially if you're not putting in like intentional moments of rest and recovery.
Okay, so if somebody is like always seeing the downside and not even aware of it, is there a particular emotion ship, or like can you connect it back to that and how a person could start to kind of uncover what's going on?
Yeah, well, when we talk about an emotion ship, we're talking about the energy that surrounds any relationship that we have. And we've said before, like we have an emotional relationship to pizza. We have an emotional relationship to our boss. We have an emotional relationship to timelines. And I think the opportunity for anyone is to start to be more aware of the energy that exists around all of these other relationships in our life. And what I have found for myself personally is the more aware I become of the energy surrounding my thoughts and ideas or my responsibilities, the more in tune I become with like my base level of health. And what I mean by that is my base level of energy, how high it is or how low it is, how it tends to fluctuate and drop around certain people or certain situations, and how it tends to go up around certain people and certain situations. And so I would say awareness is an important thing. But, again, one of the reasons why we started Body Garage was to get tools and pieces of technology involved so that people that are offline and do start to realize that they're kind of walking around dead, that they can speed that up. And the industry has become known as biohacking, like hacking your biology, coming up with things that you can do faster to be restored quicker than maybe just taking a certain herb or what have you. But, and I've got some of this tech with us that I want you to try so people
How
can
exciting.
see this. Yeah. But, like this thing here, this Alpha Stem that is over at Body Garage that you can see our medical director, and they can prescribe this for you. This is something for insomnia and anxiety, where this breaks up. It uses a certain wave to break up the patterns in your brain. You put this on your earlobes, which we both have headphones on, so I'm not going to do it.
I've done that before, and it made me incredibly dizzy, which is not a good thing.
So if you put this on your earlobes, what it's doing is, for the person that is high strung or very go, you will feel it more than the people that don't. Mm-hmm. And so people that are laid back and don't tend to be, whether you call them an alpha or just like a go-getter, it tends not, they don't feel it. Like you'll put this on a 10-year-old, they don't feel it. But the people that are high strung and always going, and they have a very busy mind, which is what, that's a manifestation of anxiety or sleeplessness, when you're dealing with insomnia. This is very good for you, because what it does is it breaks up that signal to your brain and lets your brain basically exist in a dreamlike state. And there's 20, 40, and 60-minute sessions that you can do. Again, it has to be prescribed for you. There's no pain to it, but like in your case where you are a person that likes to go and you have a very busy mind, this gives your brain a break, and it also basically forces your brain to do a reset and say, okay, is she really this busy? Is she really this upset? And it will break that signal, and then it has to refire if it's real type of thing. And so this is out of all of the pieces of equipment we have, this Alpha Stem has been something that's just been incredible for me, because I, like you, tend to have a very, very busy mind. And so I wouldn't say that it's anxiety as much for me, though that can happen, as much as it is just like a very busy mind. And I have dealt with, insomnia and sleeplessness for years. And so this is just an example where, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, this was not on the market, but scientists came up with this, obviously did their trials for years, and have now had a lot of success with bringing people out of a state of fight or flight and into a state of calm, like dreaming state. That's the waves, the brain waves that this creates is like a dreaming type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a hack or a secret that you can go and use a piece of equipment today that literally will get you out of a state of accelerated aging and start to let your mind rest again.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's wild. It's I was telling Gilman before the program started, these two pieces of equipment that I brought on today are two of the pieces of equipment I fear the most, in that they're no joke. Like, they produce real results, because sometimes, I'll take the equipment that we have over Body Garage and, it'll say, do this, but don't do this. Well, I'll do what it says not to do, because I love the why, and I love, like, is this accurate? Mm-hmm. Is it really, can you not do this, or can you do this? They're just being cautious. Mm-hmm. But in both cases, these pieces of equipment are so effective that you can hurt yourself if you're not doing it under the supervision of a medical doctor that knows what they're talking about. The AMP coil that I have down here, the science and research was developed out of Stanford University. And let me hold this up so you can see it, and then we're gonna do it for you so you can have a session here, a live session, Mel.
Okay, how fun.
This here, if you're watching, which if you're not watching, you can tune into our YouTube channel to see this. This is a Tesla coil, and a lot of people hear of Tesla, the car brand, mm-hmm. which Elon Musk named it after Nikola Tesla, who was just an original biohacker that said, basically, if you want to start talking about health and life, you just need to look at energy. And he studied and loved a lot of Einstein's work that just says energy matters because all matter, to include human beings, which includes thoughts and food and all of that, is just energy. Mm-hmm. So energy matters because all matter is energy. And so this Tesla coil was recently invented in the last several years by a group out there on the West Coast, where they acknowledged a lot of Einstein and Tesla's work, where they could take a coil, a magnetic coil like this, and run very specific frequencies through it to simulate good thoughts, good food, and good environments, and it will penetrate the body and go to those organs or to the ligaments or to your blood and put that level of energy in there. And so what people don't realize is, if you eat an apple, there are living enzymes, and there's a molecular structure to the enzyme or to the nutrition that is in there that meets a specific need of your body. Same thing when you're taking a pharmaceutical drug. You're taking a chemical compound that was engineered to interact with a very specific part chemically and electrically, right? The electrical part is important. Electrically with your body to alter an electrical state of a very specific part of your body. Well, what these people understood through Einstein, Tesla, and a number of other people's work, to include Newton, is that you can just create the vibes, you can create the waves of energy and get the very same effect without having to put a substance that is synthetic into the person that taxes their liver, their digestive system, and their nervous system. And so that's what this is. And, we have chairs over at Body Garage Dayton that are very effective. But the difference between those chairs and this, which this belongs to me, it is not in the garage yet, though these will be in the garage before long, is that this works off of an app on this tablet over here, where it will have you read to it, and it will use the electricity that is manifesting through tones in your words, right, and syllables, to assess what in your body is off and where it needs to be corrected. And so it's a voice print, similar to what is used with some of the lie detector tests that we use to determine where the energy is. So when you're using a lie detector test, which we use in another one of our security company, basically we now have technology that will analyze when you're being dishonest, because the human body is made in a way that when it is dishonest, power drops. And so the way, the old village doctor or community doctor would test you is they would muscle test you. They would put like a vitamin or a piece of an herb in your hand, and then they would push down on your other arm to see if that piece of earth with its specific frequency was good for you at that specific time. And it's applied kinesiology now is the technical science term to it, but it's how your body interacts with other energies. Does it give you life or does it take life from you? And so now with this, that's what's happening is, the voice print is recognizing, no different than a lie detector test, where are you at, and what all of the science and millions of pieces of data. This will do 200,000 plus scans by just going through your voice. It can tell what specific part of your body has lower energy and needs to be brought up. And so when you do this, and we'll do this here in a second, we'll have you test this so people can see what it's like. It will tell you you're struggling with parasites, or you're struggling with your endocrine system, your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands are offline, or they're low. We need to raise that up. Or you're dealing with electromagnetic fog, meaning you're hanging around electronics too much. Like you might be sleeping with your phone under your pillow, which I don't know who would do that, but you might. Yeah, you might be sleeping with your phone under your pillow, and literally the electric, the signal that's coming from that cell phone tower getting to that phone has to go through your body, and electrically it's dirty energy and it's poisoning you. And so this voice print does that to basically say, here are the parts of the body that need energy. And so, where you will take an herb to get more vitamin C or vitamin D or trace minerals or whatever it is, literally electrically, this is doing the same thing. And so it's very affordable for a session like this. And the results, as I was telling Gelman before the show, are freaky.
What do you mean affordable?
Well, I'm just saying that, you might be on a regimen where you're taking vitamins that cost you, however much a month. I'm just saying a session like this that's going to be around $40 or $50 is going to analyze very specifically where you're low in energy and address those needs and pull them up quickly.
So it rights the wrong, or it just tells you what's wrong?
It rights the wrong. Yeah, gotcha. It tells you what's wrong, and then it builds a protocol for you to fix those things. And you might have to do more than one session to do it. But that being said, it is very specific, and it is all working off of energy. And as I was saying earlier, I tend to be a little aggressive in with how I use this stuff, because I just want to test the limits. That's kind of who I am. I want to push the limits. This will mess you up if you do not follow the guidelines, because the energy is that specific and that real. And so I'll show you the way this works, and then you get to do it. And
Great. I can't wait to blast everything that's wrong with me all over the internet.
Yeah. Well, we'll filter.
Is there HIPAA laws in place here?
Yes, there are.
Okay, perfect.
So what you do, and I'll open this for you, is you find your profile, and I'm going to do mine, and then I'll reset it so that you can do yours. Mallory has never done this, ladies and gentlemen. I am the only one that has,
I'm a newbie.
Done this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you select voice print, and we're going to hit that blue record button for you.
Does it tell you what to say?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Text will display here.
Good.
And so I'll show you what this looks like. So you read what you see, and you're going to do the vowels first. E, and that's what you're going to do.
Oh, perfect.
And you don't have to
Cannot
be you don't have to be right in the
wait. I
mic.
definitely do not get paid enough for this.
Well, the pay is coming, okay? So you're just going to follow what is said, and then you don't have to do it right in the mic so people don't have to hear everything. But then we're going to break down what your body said you need.
Yeah.
And then we'll start
I'm aware.
We'll start letting you do a treatment here with this coil right in front of us
great.
as we finish the podcast. Okay, so let me get this for you. Okay, so you're going to hit that record button, hold it right out in front of you like this, and take a deep breath before you go. So in between each vowel, you'll have to take a little.
Can I have my legs crossed?
Yeah. You have to take a deep breath in between each vowel, or you will run out of air.
I just need to know, is it every vowel?
Yeah.
And then am I done?
And then it will have you read the alphabet and some numbers.
Oh my gosh!
You'll be good. Let's
Everyone's
go.
gonna be super bored.
No, they're not going to be super bored. They're gonna like seeing this.
I feel nervous.
Don't be nervous. She's doing good, ladies and gentlemen. She's just testing you. If you've never seen our YouTube channel,
For
now
at
is the
least
time.
25 seconds. Please say each. Oh, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y.
You're good?
Success.
Okay, let's see this here.
Now it says, you did it. Should we use this recording?
Yeah,
I don't know.
go
Why
ahead-
would you not?
Go ahead and give it to me.
Oh,
Okay, so
do not delete that recording.
I'm not going to, but we're going to talk about your results here.
Can I see them first?
No. I'm going to interpret.
What if
them
you
for
have to scroll?
Oh, I do.
Really?
Yeah, so this is really interesting. The first thing that comes back.
I want to redo it. Can I redo it?
Yeah, sure, of course you can. Just like we started the podcast over. So the first thing that this comes up with, 1 through 100. 1 is, nope, you're like so good. You don't need
This is so vulnerable.
You don't need any attention. So
wait, 1 is no attention?
1 is you need no attention. 100 is
oh my gosh.
You need help.
We understand.
Yeah. So your brain chi or energy, the energy of your brain, like your nervous system brain chi, came in number 1 as far as your number 1 need at 100. So you just need it just means you're thinking a lot and your brain is tired.
Maybe it's because I was just doing that in front of however many people listen.
Okay.
In a microphone. Have you ever done yours in a microphone?
Well, I did a little bit.
That was not a test.
Number 2 is your mental, emotional, energetic energy. So you're just tired is what this is saying. You're thinking a lot. Makes sense. But the cool thing is this is going to put a protocol together. Let's actually put this on your stomach for me and I'll start this. So you're going to hold it yep, perfect, right there. Number 3, 74% is bladder, kidney. Interesting. And then endocrine is not that bad, 58. Let's see. So now it's going to say what you need from a nutritional standpoint. Highest priority is amino acids at 100%, which makes sense with the cleanse that you're on. And then it gets into antioxidants at 93. And then it'll come in and say, okay, here's what she needs. So we're going to start coiling. It's going to load what you did. And then we're going to hit go. And you'll feel it start to do and say things. What do you think?
I mean, I don't really know what any of that means, so I don't have a very large response right now.
Yeah,
so I have to learn more.
So really, it's just addressing where you're at.
I mean, I understand
energetically, and now it's built this protocol that it's counting down 20 seconds, and you're going to get to roll with it. And so it will start treating you right here, right now.
How great! I feel better already.
Well, so what got us into all of this is, Proverbs 14 says that if you want a big harvest, you're going to have to deal with a lot of crap. right? That it says where the stable is clean, there are no oxen. And the interpretation of that is, if you want a big field full of like if you want a big harvest, you're going to have to deal with big oxen that have a lot of crap. And so when you are an entrepreneur or stay-at-home mom or dad, and you need to produce a lot of energy, or there are a lot of people pulling from your life, you're going to have to do something to put life back into you. And I think it's something that really in the last several years we're just now being afforded to think about, that not all output is created equal. Like, we don't all spend a certain amount of energy each and every day. And that's why that book stood out to me, that dead executives don't get bonuses. And we've heard about this, and we've seen where these leaders of huge companies, like, look at our presidents after they leave office. You always see the picture of when they came into office, and they just look beat to hell. Because literally a lot of the world has been on their shoulders. And so,
am I supposed to be feeling something?
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. There's 3 different technologies in there. One of them is pulsating electromagnetic field, and then there's some different sound technologies that are working. So you won't always feel it, but sometimes you will. But all of this was created to just say, let's slow down the rapid state of aging that people could be in, or let's start putting a lot of life in someone that is spending a lot of life, that has a lot of people that depend upon them, that might have a lot of responsibility at work, is in a phase of life, like, depending upon who you are and how you've been raised, you can hit 30 years old, 35 years old, or 40 years old and start seeing things really, really differently. And if you're running on a very low tank energetically, you'll make bad decisions. And again, getting back to the idea of people living in poverty in our justice system, we would do well. And this is where, when Jesus said that the love of money is the root of all evil, that compromised our food system. It compromised our justice system. It compromised our medical system, because we have failed to understand or acknowledge or take into consideration that people's batteries run down because we have allowed them to have access only to food that might fill their hunger, but it's doing nothing for them nutritionally. And so then when you have generations of people that are offline and dead inside because there's no nutrition, they make poor decisions. And so it's not like, even executives make poor decisions when they're ran down. Go on.
No, I mean, I think that's right on. And I think it's a societal problem. Like, even my family, I can't afford to do my full 100% for my whole family grocery shopping at Whole Foods.
Sure.
Like, that's just, it's not. And I'm like, both my husband and I work. Like, sure. It's just not something that we're able to do. Now, I feel like I am a smart grocery shopper. Like, we don't buy junk, but it's not like we can get the best of the best.
Sure,
and
yeah.
like, we're doing well. Yeah. So it's a losing battle for a whole lot of people.
It sure is. Yeah. And that's why they're, again, we're going to be given, over the next couple of decades, we're going to be given an opportunity to right the wrong, because in a lot of ways, as a very young nation, we're just now being afforded the opportunity to see where profitizing our food system has caused trouble, right? But you just look at a large majority of our society that can only afford to put synthetics in their system, and then we wonder why the school systems are the way they are, and a large percentage of children can't think and have all of these learning disabilities or attention deficit disorder. They literally have no fuel in them. Mm-hmm. Their brain won't work because it has no energy, and they are 3rd or 4th generation of this. Yeah. And so we're going to be invited to come up with, new solutions to put life into people so that life can come out of people. It's really sad to see the people that fill our prisons and our jails, they're dead, and they've been dead for a very long time. And because, nutrition is not the highest of all priorities for a lot of people, go back to some of the social injustice and the acts of injustice that happened this past year that were all over the news. Just because somebody wears a badge or is a medical doctor or is an attorney or is a judge even, doesn't mean that they're putting life into their body. Mm-hmm. And if they're not putting, I've been in these courtrooms on both sides, and to see a judge, I've watched the same judge be in a good mood and look like they had a good night's rest and a lot of sleep, make certain decisions. And the same judge the next day is pissed off because they did not sleep well and they have something going on in their own life, and maybe they're not eating well or they're not putting real food in their body. They make another decision. Mm-hmm. And someone's life is on the line, and someone's, next 20, 30, 40, 50 years could be affected by the fact that morning they had a sugar-driven, high-carb drink at 6 a.m. to get their pep up. But an hour later, they crashed and were pissed off and made decisions out of that. Like, life does not happen in a vacuum. Everything is connected, and certain things affect other certain things, which affect other certain things. And so, when you have, jails in most communities that are beyond max capacity, that financially affects that community. And so even just as something as simple as our food and people that are public servants working, like, it's all tied together and it all leads in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. And I think we're going to, we didn't get here on purpose, right? We didn't do it on purpose. We just did not have enough on a bigger scale. We did not have enough foresight to realize here's what could come from this. When we start trying to make things for the least amount of money and sell them for the highest amount of money for profit, which comes back to that idea of the love of money is the root of all evil.
It's true.
You're coiling over there.
Yes. Doesn't feel like anything.
It's working. I promise. Episode 50, ladies and gentlemen, of Emotion Chips.